Yes.
I really almost considered putting on a fake mustache because you and Azurika, when you started your episode, you talked about mustaches, and then when you asked me, that was my first thought was like, I should get a mustache.
That would be so funny. Hi guys, welcome in for another episode of Gamer Chats. Today we're going to be talking to SaintCathedral, who is an affiliate streamer over on Twitch, as well as a queer and indigenous gamer who identifies as Two Spirit. And if you don't know what that means, we do go into that later in the episode. So without any further ado, let's go and chat with Cathedral. How was your day?
It was cold. Oh, I hated
Yeah.
it. I'm so over the cold, but that's so Wisconsin of me. How was your day? Let me talk about the weather.
I feel like that's just like a Midwest thing in general. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it would be great if it weren't for the wind.
But no, it was pretty normal. It was pretty easy.
Mhm.
Um, Went to work, came home, had a little snack, and I've just been chilling.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I work a Monday through Friday, so
One more day left.
it's just Thursday.
Yeah, I have not worked a Monday through Friday in so long, and I don't think I could do it.
I mean, I have every weekend off, so
Yeah, I
both
know, but
days
just
in
like,
a row. It makes planning things super easy.
yeah. So my thing is like, I just if I were doing the same thing every week, every day, I would lose my mind. Uh, and one arguably maybe the only benefit of my job is I can take 2 weeks off at a time if I want to.
Yes, I
And
cannot do that.
yeah, that is like the only benefit, really. Um of anyways, that's work.
Yeah.
Um I just went to Adepticon this morning and uh I went with two of my friends who just got engaged. Honestly, just because they invited me, and
I don't know what that is.
yeah, I didn't either. It's like a big Warhammer convention, basically,
Oh,
and there's a bunch of like figures and many minis, and they, they have like paints and they have other board games like set up to like talk about. It was pretty neat.
that sounds fun. I've never actually been to a convention, honestly. You think that I would be the kind of person that would be right there, but
I mean,
no, I've never gone.
not every gamer is, and I like honestly, I just as soon as I said it, step foot in there, I was like, "Oh, a Syriac guy would love this." So, so I messaged him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could have gone." But yeah, that is basically what I did, and then I just,
Much more thrilling than my day. The boss was out today, so
oh, that's nice. So I
yeah,
got to break the rules a little bit.
just a little bit.
No late returns today. Oh,
No, well, that's okay.
okay. Um, so what tell us a little about yourself. Like what yeah, you just go.
All right. I do want to say quickly,
Yes.
I really almost considered putting on a fake mustache because you and Azurika, when you started your episode, you talked about mustaches, and then when you asked me, that was my first thought was like, I should get a mustache.
That would be so funny.
I've done a Waluigi costume a couple times,
Yeah.
and I had different like the first time it was actually bushy old man eyebrows that
Uh,
they were stick on, but then I just put them on my.
you mean you can't just choose what length to grow your eyebrows to?
I I would like to if I
Come
could
on.
just if I could just, but then like also not have it is also nice.
I am a big
I
like
can't.
just a big proponent for facial hair because like I'm not a tall person and it is how I feel masculine.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, mine is you get what you get.
No, you look very sophisticated.
Thank you. Um, so yeah, I'm Cathedral. A lot of people do go with Saint from the get, which is I mean, it's fine. It's the first part of the it's the first part of the name. But then once I get to know somebody, talk a couple times, then I prefer Cathedral.
Okay. Is it because your body is a temple?
Sure, yeah, we'll go with that. No, with the thing with the Saint part is it just feels like Mister.
Okay.
It feels like the title part.
Yeah.
And not the name part.
I get that.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's how I explain it the best. But yeah, I am a variety streamer on Twitch. I've been an affiliate streamer for about 2 years. I'm coming up.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. Like in 2 weeks, I think, will be my official 2 years of when I signed the contract.
Yeah.
Like I want to say like April 13th or something like that. But yeah, I it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, just didn't have the resources. And when the opportunity arose, I was like, let's do this. Let's see what's going on. Let's play some games.
Yeah.
But born and raised in the Midwest. Went to school here, all over Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin. So I didn't just like grow up in one place. So I was in a lot of the major cities and some of the not so major townships. But yeah, born and raised in Wisconsin. I did, spend some time in Minneapolis and Chicago in my adulthood, but
yeah,
living in the Midwest, that's for sure. And I'm pretty Wisconsin-y, honestly. I use a lot of terms like the clicker and the bubbler.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't say pop. I don't know.
That was going to be my next question.
I don't do all that. No, I
because
listen to pop. I don't drink pop.
I'm from the South, and so we said Coke for everything.
For everything.
Yeah.
That's worse.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, that is so non-specific. Like, unless you're talking about Coke.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, like, there are so many times when I had to ask, like, okay, what kind of Coke?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Pepsi's Pepsi. Did you ever see that clip of Britney Spears? She's like, what kind of Pepsi? Pepsi's Pepsi.
But no.
That's what I thought of.
That's a throwback.
Coke is Coke.
Whenever people ask for Coke on the airplane, I say, we don't have narcotics.
No. They can't carry that on the plane.
No, and most of the time it gets a laugh. Sometimes it's like, yeah, I hope you wouldn't.
They're like, okay, bring me a soda, please.
Yeah, like, okay, sorry, you're not funny. You had a bad adulthood, apparently.
Let's see. I am a huge gamer. I have been my entire life. I am the second born. So by the time that I was born, the family already had a Nintendo. Like,
yeah,
my older sibling was already, fighting Bowser by the time I was born. So by the time I came around, it was I was the Luigi.
Yeah, okay. So was that your first game?
It's the first one I remember. That one and Zelda, which sounds so like, oh yeah, the first games I played were Mario 1 and Zelda 1, which is like, okay, but like that fell in line with my age.
I mean, you're like what, 25?
Yeah, I just turned 25.
Yeah.
Last week, yeah.
You're aging gracefully.
Yeah, well, thank you. But the most amazing thing about that, which we'll talk about the in between, but nowadays I'm still playing Mario and Zelda like regularly.
Well, I feel like this is one thing that's kind of interesting with our generation is nostalgia is such a heavy influence on us. Like,
yes, it is.
And that's not to say it's not on any other generation, but I feel like it's kind of unique to ours because we have so much technology available. It's easy to go back, but then you see like big revivals of these series. But Zelda's always kind of been a big thing. I feel like Mario hasn't always been that big. Like, I feel maybe that's just for me, but
Mario has his moments, yeah, but they're few and far between, I feel like.
Yeah.
Whereas like when it's Zelda, it's like, the world stops.
Yeah.
Zelda comes out. No, but people were having fun when Mario Wonder came out, but world didn't stop.
Yeah. Uh, Breath of the Wild didn't really do it for me, but Tears of the Kingdom, I I put 200 hours into that game.
Tears of the Kingdom, I think maybe about 100 for me.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a game that I played entirely on stream, and I did almost everything and quickly.
That's impressive.
I've played a lot of Breath of the Wild. A lot. I probably like 500 hours.
Wow. I mean,
amongst three different save files. Okay, I'll fill you in on how real I get with the Breath of the Wild. So I got the game when it came out, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. And played through the regular story mode, and then you get master mode from the DLC.
Yeah.
So you had to wait a bit, then the DLC came out, then I was able to play on master mode. Now, so I have those two files, regular and master mode, and I have a third file that I play on where it's no armor, only weapon and shield upgrades, nothing on the screen,
Okay.
other than like I think the compass, or maybe I don't know. There's like one thing that's on the screen, so like no map, nothing like that. It takes. I just want to like see the game, and 3 hearts. I'll only do the health upgrade when you need to do like the health upgrade.
What?
Like there's a way that you can get the hearts, and then retroactively go back and turn them into stamina. There's like
yeah.
You can switch that out. So I'm building up the stamina, and then once I get to the part where you need to take out the master sword, you need the hearts. Then I'll go get the hearts, get the master sword, and then go back. Which is that's like a money thing, because it's like 1,000 for each like transfer.
I always had a hard time getting money in those games, because like there were things that I had to buy, and I remember feeling kind of frustrated with that. Like, I think it was bombs that I always had a hard time finding, or maybe arrows. And
it's arrows for me, until I started learning how to like properly farm them from enemies, which that made it so much easier.
Yeah, and it was like the first Zelda game that I felt like I really needed my money.
And you can't get it anywhere. It's so hard to get more than like 1 rupee in the grass, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, kitty.
Yeah, Ellie's coming to say hello.
Hello, Ellie.
She has been a little terror lately. I think she's going through her terrible twos.
Oh my goodness.
But she's been really sweet the last couple days. So what kind of sparked your love for Zelda?
Kitty. I would say a huge part of it was...
Ma'am, cover up.
Was the music. I would say the music was always just like... It was like my favorite kind of video game music to listen to for a long time, like growing up. Like I would play Link to the Past the most.
Yeah.
And then Ocarina of Time came out, Majora's Mask came out, and I would still always go back to Link to the Past, always, even though, I played Link's Awakening, the Oracle of Ages, the Oracle of Seasons, I played those. And of course the first 2 on NES, played those as well. But Link to the Past, that one, there's something just really special about the music. I can't really explain what it was about it that really just like pulled at my heartstrings as a child.
Yeah.
But it really did, and I would play that game a lot just by myself. I have family, and all my family, we all play video games. But that was one I always found myself going back to when everyone wanted to play Nintendo 64, PlayStation. I was like, well, let me go play the Super Nintendo in the other room. And
you were a retro gamer before it was cool.
Play Zelda again. And since then, the music has just always been phenomenal.
Except in the most recent 2 games.
Yeah, it was pretty empty. There's parts where there was like cutscenes and stuff, but overall, like it was pretty empty.
Yeah, and that's like my biggest gripe with those games is in every Zelda game, I think, except for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you get some sort of instrument, and you don't in those games, and I hated that.
This is true. I think another thing about that is they really wanted to just play into the wild aspect. You know, you don't hear music in the wild other than nature noises, which there's bountiful nature noises in Breath of the Wild, absolutely, and you know, both of them. So
Yeah.
that way, when you do hear music, either if it's like background music, or you're like are approaching one of the stables, like you start to hear the music, you start to hear like people chitter chattering.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably why they made that choice to have not so much music other than certain places. But then the music that was there was, you know, was pretty good music.
Oh yeah, like when you hear like the piano in the background, like it feels good.
Yeah. When you get to the castle, and it's like this dark remix of like the castle music from Link to the Past. Yeah, there's some good tunes in that game. The few that exist.
Yeah.
Oh, the boss battle musics. Those are also good.
Well, that's even like Dark Souls. There's not a ton of music present in those games.
Dark Souls.
But like there are some boss fights that have music in them, and
yeah, I listen to those soundtracks. I would say fairly regularly.
I feel like I've been talking about
times
this
a month.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking about this a lot recently, but I have a sleepy video game music playlist on Spotify that I listen to when I go to sleep. Because
there's not a lot of sleepy time music in the Dark Souls games.
There's not.
Yeah, other than like the Firelink Shrine, and then, well, I won't say too much about some of the other songs. I don't want to. People should go play. If you haven't played Dark Souls, just go play Dark Souls. If it's too hard, you'll get through
it. I mean, the key to Dark Souls is to get good.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm actually fairly overall fairly new to Dark Souls. I did not play Dark Souls until it came out on the Switch.
I didn't play Dark Souls until I think 2019.
Yeah, that would have been. I think that's when the year that it came out was 2019.
And then I played Bloodborne shortly after. I liked Bloodborne a lot more. But
yeah, I would say maybe a year after I got Dark Souls on the Switch, I got a PS4. I didn't have that before, and I didn't have a PC, so I wasn't doing anything other than Nintendo, and then everything else that I owned previously. So it wasn't until after a lot of Dark Souls, over and over again, that I got to play it. I think Sekiro was the first one I played after, because I think that one came out like right after I got the PS4, so I was able to like be present and like in the fandom for the release of a new game, which was very exciting. It's probably my favorite of like the modern FromSoft games. I keep looking over here because I have a framed poster of it, and I'm looking at it, and it's
you're fine
there by the PlayStation, and it's just the best. I don't know how you feel about that one.
I haven't played it yet.
It's so good.
I have so many games that like I'm playing 3 different games right now, and then I think I'm going to finish Ultros, the game you saw me playing the other day. I think when I finish that one up, I'm moving on. I'm either going to pick Shovel Knight up or Hades, because the sequel to Hades is coming out soon-ish.
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
It's supposed to be like this quarter, but they haven't put a date on it. The last time I checked, they hadn't.
Yeah. I do want to go back to Dark Souls though. So because this is another big one for me. This is another big series for me. I played the Sekiro, and then I got Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne, because they were all out at that point. And didn't really get to them until 2020, when I had a lot of time.
Yeah.
As a lot of us did.
Yes.
But there was something really special with Sekiro. I don't think that it gets the recognition it deserves. I think people are pretty turned off by it. because it's different from Dark Souls and Bloodborne. You know, you play as a character. This character has a story that you have to follow. There's not really, there's kind of a skill tree, but it's more it's way more, sorry, reverse, it's way more of a skill tree than you get in Dark Souls. Dark Souls is just like you get what you find, and then that's what you get, and then you power up your stats. Whereas in Sekiro you have to like unlock abilities, and that takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of work. But one thing that I think people, in my opinion, fail to realize is that it's a rhythm game. If you really break it down, like the same way that when you play Dark Souls, you learn, you watch the enemies, you see what they're doing, you see what kind of weapons they're doing, like how their attacks are swinging at you. I mean, or you don't pay attention to that, and then you just die.
Yeah.
But so then you can kind of see, you can see how their moves are being telegraphed to you, and you can react accordingly. With Sekiro, they're coming at you with other weapons, but mostly swords, mostly katanas and the such. It's some kind of bladed weapon. They're coming at you, and a lot of the attacks are repetitive, so there's a rhythm to them. So the big thing in Sekiro is you have to deflect. You don't just block, you don't just dodge. You have to deflect to like stagger. So especially some of the boss battles, if you're deflecting every hit, there's a good rhythm. There's a good beat that's going on that if you're not paying attention to it, or if you're not playing that way, you're not going to catch it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I like that one the most.
Interesting. Okay. Because
and it is very difficult.
I don't know if you know Justin Hadoken, but he's
just new. I think they just followed me a couple days ago.
Yeah,
and I've only seen one stream.
Yeah, he was one of my first couple friends whenever I started streaming, but he talked about Sekiro not too long ago to me, and I feel like you're the second person to bring it up, so I feel like I gotta.
Yeah.
It's
really good. It's also very Japanese. It takes place in like a fictitious 1500s Japan, feudal Japan. So there's a lot of that influence, but there's a lot of like, fantastical creatures and monsters and stuff like that, and magic and guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's underrated. I think people don't give it a fair go. Whereas Bloodborne, that's like the holy grail. Honestly, that was a masterpiece.
It was, and I remember playing it like at the start of 2020, and just like my buddy told me to play it because he's the one that told me to play Dark Souls, and I was just kind of like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I just beat this boss on my first try, and he was like, that's one of the hardest bosses, and I was like, really? Didn't seem like it. And
yeah,
so it wasn't until I got to Hollow Knight when I sort of realized that I like games that are hard.
Yeah,
I definitely like my cozy games too now, but talking about games that don't get the recognition they deserve, this game I played recently called Laika is
not familiar with that one.
It's fantastic. It was done by I don't remember now, but you play as a coyote, and you have this.
Okay.
Your family has this ability where they're immortal, so that explains why you come back every time you die.
Okay.
And then you're trying to stop the birds, because the birds are trying to like basically genocide. And so what's unique to this video game, aside from you're on a motorcycle and you're shooting things, I feel like I'm super blurry. Oh well. You collect the soundtrack over the course of the game instead of just having the soundtrack the whole time. Like you find cassettes, and I was just telling PB with Shelly and Ren that the soundtrack was done by this French artist whose name starts with BEI. I can't remember the rest of it right now. And she's actually a character in the video game. And she gets ostracized because she sides with the birds. And it's like a cool little backstory. And I don't know. It's neat the way they brought in a musician like that.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And it's kind of like cartoony, too.
Okay, I will definitely have to check that out. That sounds like something I would definitely enjoy.
Yeah, I think it's a great game, and if you do play it, hopefully you'll be streaming it so I can watch somebody else play it.
You know, the thing is, when I started streaming, when I started streaming, it was it felt like, how am I trying to say this? It felt like I really wanted to just like capture every gaming moment that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wasn't playing a game, I wasn't streaming.
Right.
And so like unless if it was like Splatoon or like Mario Kart with some friends, especially if I wasn't home, obviously, I wasn't playing anything if I wasn't streaming it. And it's still like that, but a few months back, my PC died and I had to get a new one, but I had to wait.
Yeah.
So it was like 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. And in that time, it was really difficult to like relearn how to play a game for myself and then just enjoy it for myself.
Yeah.
And I went with Final Fantasy IX, and that's what I'm still playing off stream, which is fantastic.
It's a great game.
It's my favorite one.
Oh wow. Okay, that's a favorite Final Fantasy or favorite game?
It's my favorite Final Fantasy. It's not my favorite game.
Okay. So that's kind of a good segue then. What led you to streaming?
It was like I said before, it was something that definitely interested me. Mostly just like the aspect of playing a game and having somebody watch me.
Yeah.
Now I know that it is a lot more than that. If you want it to be, there are people who just they play the game and then they end the stream and then they go about their life. There are, you know, that's not me.
Right.
But when it started, it was 2020, and I didn't have a computer. I had like just my iPhone. So I didn't have any I didn't have a laptop, didn't have anything like that. I had a PS4, and you can broadcast your gameplay.
Yeah.
On the PS4, and so it was actually my older sibling was like, it was 2020, we weren't seeing each other. We don't live in the same place, and even if we did, like we still like never really saw each other for a long time. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And growing up together, like that's my gamer buddy, like for a good chunk of, you know, my childhood and my teen years. Unfortunately not so much anymore. We do try and play when we can, but you know,
I mean, it's hard as you get older to like keep in touch with anybody really if they're not in your immediate bubble.
Yeah. So they were like, well, you can create a Twitch and you can stream directly from the PlayStation, and then that way I can just sit and watch you at home when you play something. I don't remember what it was. I do remember what it was. It was Resident Evil 3, the remake, because that came out right at like in March. I'm pretty sure it was March or April. It was very early 2020, and I remember it was really traumatizing because the intro is like a news segment about a virus outbreaking, and it's just it was too real. But that's the series that me and my sibling grew up just like in love with, playing every game. for hours, like that Resident Evil. That's the one. So they wanted to watch, and so I was really like apprehensive at first because I was like, I don't know, that doesn't. I don't have a camera. I don't have a microphone. It's like, I don't. He's like, what? He's like, I'm gonna be the only one watching. Just do it. I was like, fine. Begrudgingly,
yeah,
I, created a Twitch, and it's the one I still have today. And then that started becoming a regular thing, and people were showing up. I had other friends. After a while, I started telling people. I was like, "Oh, I've been doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not on a microphone. I'm not on a camera. But if you're just like me and you're sitting home doing nothing and you want to watch me play a game, just check my Twitch because I was playing a lot of games.
Right.
And yeah, just like one after the other. Unless if it was something on the Switch. The Switch doesn't have the capability to stream to Twitch, which is really unfortunate.
Not natively.
Yeah. And so I started getting regulars, other than friends, and then my youngest sibling gave me their old laptop. So then that way I was able to like post like when I was going to be on, like engage in the chat, and also like set my like title, because it's very limiting when you do it from the PS4. Like it's really trying to like just type with the controller. Like I'd rather not.
Ass.
I'd rather not. So it was always just like, is streaming from broadcasting from the PS4. It's very simple.
Yeah.
But then I started, having titles, adding tags, because I was able to actually be on the Twitch interface. And then that went on for a while. The PlayStation, you know how these companies are. If you're not using their product, it's not compatible. So I never got the PlayStation camera.
Yeah.
So when I was streaming from the PlayStation, I was never on camera. I did eventually get a headset, because I was playing a lot of online games with other friends. And so then I was able to, actually talk about what I was doing in the video games I was playing, because it was a lot of just straight up game footage.
Right.
And there are people who enjoy that, but I definitely enjoy the talking and the interacting and cracking jokes and laughing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So when was that sort of moment where you're like, yeah, this is something I'm gonna do now?
It was again a bigger push from my older sibling. They were upgrading their computer, and they were like, well, I won't be using this one anymore. You can have it. And I was like, oh, great. And he's like, well, since you have that, we might as well get you a capture card. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then it happened really fast, honestly, when it happened. I want to say that the day that they brought the computer over, they brought the capture card with. I'm pretty sure it all like happened on the same day. And then it was a few hours of figuring that out.
Yeah.
Because one of the things about my streaming is I don't know. I do not now. I know. I didn't know a lot of just like terminology. So when I wanted to do something or figure something out, I wouldn't know where to start. Because like, how do I make this thing do this thing? But I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
So a lot of just like doing research and watching tutorials, and I didn't have a lot of people that I knew that I could ask directly that were doing the same thing. I do now.
Yeah.
I have a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, my buddy Prince was saying the other day, he was like, nobody starts out good at anything, and
if they do, you have to wonder about the the integrity behind it, like and the intention behind it.
Yeah. So
you can get all the best hardware and everything, but if you don't have, like the passion, but you have all the supplies, then then you just, I don't know. That feels like a waste of energy to me.
Yeah.
If you know, get all the top-notch supplies, and then you like stream like Fortnite once.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, like my stream seed was planted from my brother. I keep saying sibling, but I should say my brother wanting to watch me play games, and then it became I started playing different games. And I have a lot of games. That's what you can't see on the other side, is I have a lot of games, and so I'm always wanting to play something different. And you know, there's a lot of people who want to stream because they, you know, because their favorite streamer is, you know, rich and famous and plays Fortnite all the time.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Let me take a step back before anybody tries to attack me. I play Fortnite as well. So I have nothing against it. But it just seems like that just seems like people's like go to thing that is like, okay.
Oh, I'm kind of a Fortnite hater.
I mean, was for a long time, but then they added the like no build mode, and that's when I had friends who were playing actively like, hey, I think you might like this. And yeah, there was a point, it was like in my first 6 months of streaming, when that happened. And so, you know, I did stream a little Fortnite here and there, but I didn't really get that into it. I was pretty good. I'm a pretty good shot, honestly. But the no building aspect, I loved it. Like, just I love a shotgun. I love a sniper rifle in those kind of games. And a really mean handgun. I had a really mean distance shot with a lot of the handguns in those games.
That's kind of impressive.
I was impressed myself, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it's just mostly because I'm not good at shooters. Like, I just haven't been, and I'm not saying I'm too old to learn new tricks, but I am too old to pursue things that don't immediately interest me.
I do like good first-person shooter. I love Doom. Doom is one of my favorite series. I don't really play it that much on stream, but it's something that I play kind of regularly if I'm going somewhere and I have my Switch, because I have Doom 1, 2, 3, and 64 on my Switch.
Okay.
So I'm able to just like, if I'm like in a vehicle, or if I'm, you know, at family, you know, visiting family or something like that, that's usually one that I'll just, you know, shut the brain off and, you know, play Doom. But the new Dooms from Bethesda those are some really good games.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because I didn't know they were made by Bethesda, and I guess originally they weren't, is what I'm gathering.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the same with Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Bethesda took that on, and now they make Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they've done anything with that in a few years.
Well, I mean, I think
they have like some prequel, or maybe some like.
It's not BioShock that they took. It's what is that game that they do?
Bionic Commando.
It's like
Lego Bionic.
You're a dude. Yes. You're this. It's kind of like a similar character. Like, you have a gun, and then you have like some kind of magical abilities, and I'm blanking on the name right now. And there's 2 of them, I think. Well, whatever. Doesn't really matter. This is kind of
sounds fun.
It is fun. I will look at my catalog of games.
Yeah.
I can just do it right now. So this is changing gears just a little bit. But I asked Chelly and Ren kind of the same question, because I don't have this experience with video gaming because I am not a female.
Okay.
I was asking them what it's like for them to be a female and a streamer and things like that. So what is your This is gonna take way too long. Never mind. It's not that important.
That's fine.
What have you had any sort of challenging moments when you started streaming as a gay streamer? Not to like put you in a box or anything, but
no. We'll go with queer.
okay.
I think I don't think that gay is a appropriate, well-rounded enough term for what I got going on.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you telling me.
But I've identified as queer for a long time. That's why there's a I don't know if you've seen it, but on my channel I have my Raider screen, and in my about me, like that's the word I use.
Okay.
But I do put the gay tag on. I think the queer one is also there for my tags. I do have the gay one. Because that's just like the blanket that's the good blanket term I like to use for anything. It's just like, oh, that's gay. Oh, that's it. What's the thing? Sounds gay. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very that. So I just like gay as a whole blanket term, but personally, queer.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say I'm glad that I don't actually have a good story or a good example for you, because I've pretty much so far have completely dodged that bullet, as it were, the metaphorical bullet of receiving hate on stream.
Good for you.
There is one instance, and actually I guess this is a good story, a very short story. Somebody popped in, and I'm not saying anything about the country, but they were from Egypt. I later looked at their thing and it said somebody Egypt. And they said one message and all it said was in capital letters. It said no homosexual, no punctuation, no like nothing, just no homosexual. And I responded, I said, yes, homosexual.
Yeah.
And I blocked them. and then that was it.
Okay.
So that was the most, I've had other people come in and say, some people have said really out there things or wild things, but I've never really been on the receiving side of any kind of hate, and I know a lot of people out there deal with it. I've seen it. I have some streamer friends that I've made who are trans, and it's people will come in and it's like it really is like a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Enjoying somebody's company, hanging out, talking about whatever, laughing, and then somebody will just show up and just say something so wild, and for what? And then I the people who I'm talking about specifically are very strong-minded and strong-willed people and know how to handle it. So I have been able to just like take a back seat and watch somebody just be like, hey, we're not doing that. You're not gonna come in here and do this. And either have a conversation, because sometimes people just won't leave and you have to block them, or they bring friends.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But you see that on I use Twitter a lot.
Okay.
Regularly, daily. So there are often times where I will see people being like, hey, I've been playing this game, or I have this tag on, and other people like me are receiving hate trains, block this user or block this term. Like they're coming in and they're saying these things specifically, block these phrases so it doesn't happen to you. I see that a lot.
Interesting.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's absolutely scary, but I'm not scared.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing to have to handle, but luckily I haven't had to handle it. I don't really know why. I don't know. I think it's pretty clear from watching my own streams that it's a pretty gay place to be.
Yeah.
I'm not like there's a very adult humor that I've experienced on other people's channels, that I don't really do all that. I don't mind a poo poo joke here and there, but sometimes if it gets to be too much, I will just like I'll stay silent and I will
Yeah.
I won't be engaging in a lot of raunchy adult humor. That's just really it's just I don't know. I don't know. I'm weird about it, I guess. I don't know.
That's okay.
But but it's my channel's pretty gay. I'm pretty gay. I got rainbows on my channel. I have all the the gay tag, the queer tag. Like I think I have safe space, LGBTQI 2S plus. I think I have that one up. I have
what is 2S plus?
Put a pin in that.
Okay.
Real quick. I have like trans emotes that are mine. I've gay emotes that are mine. It's a very clearly queer space, and I'm open about that. But I guess people who come in are just cool people that want to hang out. I haven't really received any negativity or hate. And I did not want to gloss over this as well. I've also not received any kind of racially motivated hate, which is very thankful about that as well. Because I've also seen that, and it's very nasty. I've seen some people say some really awful things to streamers I've been watching, and you can't say one is worse than the other. You just can't. But it's different.
Well, I mean, it's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable.
Period. Like
for sure.
It's one of those things I don't really understand. Like if you don't like something, why go?
Then why are you hanging? Yeah, why are you hanging around? Like,
yeah,
you don't have to be here.
Yeah, like I don't like. Well, no, I don't like. I wouldn't go to like a Victoria's Secret runway show.
I would. Lady Gaga shows up sometimes.
I did not know that. But like even like if somebody invited me and I went, I wouldn't go and be like, "This is dumb." Like, look at all these skinny old ladies or whatever. They're not old, I don't think. I don't know.
Well, but Naomi Campbell still walks.
Okay, good for her. I mean, she also has like. I mean, she is beautiful, but she also has money to stay beautiful.
Yes.
So now, oh wait, actually, before I ask my next question, 2S plus, what is that?
Okay, that is the 2S is short for Two Spirit, which you seem to know, but for viewers or anybody curious, in some indigenous cultures, there is it changes depending from culture to culture, tribe to tribe. We're not one. Native American is not one kind of person. That's impossible.
Right.
There are many different tribes all over the world, but all over the what is now North America. And in some tribes there are multiple genders, and one of them is Two Spirit, which is a person who feels inside that their spirit is both male and female. It is not transgender.
Yeah.
It is something else. And I identify as Two Spirit. And I have for many years.
Okay, so
before I like really learned more about the culture and around it, and educating myself as one should, I used to identify as non-binary.
Yeah.
Which I mean I still do for the most part, but it has been categorized more to fit in line with my own indigenous background and my own culture.
Yeah.
So I identify as Two Spirit. So that's why I have that in addition.
Okay.
You just don't often see that. So when I do say that, I'm like, hey, this person is including more.
So is there like I mean, you don't have to rack your brain too hard. Hey, nicotine products are not for you, Ellie. Um, I am trying to quit vaping, and so I've been using Zen pouches, which
I wish you the best of luck in that.
Dude, I've been doing it for years, and it's time. Like my lungs aren't going to get any better if I keep doing it. So, anyways, have there?
Don't smoke, kids.
Yeah, no, definitely don't. Listen to that advice from every old person you ever talked to. Are there like games that have spoken to you more because they have sort of a cultural influence, or no?
No.
Okay.
No, unfortunately, there's not a lot of indigenous or Native American representation that I've seen in the games that I play. I know there have been things wait, like Turok.
Mm-hmm.
I think that guy is Native American. Or like what's the one? Red Dead Redemption. I never played that myself. But I guess there's Indians in there. And I think one of the Assassin's Creed games like takes place around like the revolutionary, like United States revolutionary time.
Mm-hmm.
I never played any of those games either.
I played
so no, there's just like not, unfortunately. Sometimes there like a character will pop up here and there, like in Turok. Apparently that's my point of reference for Native Americans, and I don't even know if he is. I'm pretty sure he is. I have those games. Or like Nightwolf in is he Nightwolf in Mortal Kombat?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or what, T-Hawk in Street Fighter, which I think is Thunderhawk. I can't remember. Oh, what's his name? There's some character in a Dreamcast fighting game in Power Stone. There's some character who's supposed to be like a chief.
Okay.
Or something like that. So no, there's just, as far as like
representation.
Yeah, representation. It's just not there. I can't speak to say if things are changing or if there are more people in the industry creating. I hope there are, but it's not something I'm too. I should look into that more. But I'm pretty well versed in diversity in the video game field, and that's not something that is. There's dream catchers in Death Stranding for some reason.
Yeah, actually, I need to go back and play that game because I think there's a series or a movie coming out that's based on
this. There's a sequel.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that is just what it is. I don't know. Yeah, no, it wasn't until like I was scrolling through Instagram like a year or so ago that I saw somebody say, this is the first time that I've seen a black woman being presented as the mother, like the expectant mother in a textbook. And I was like, oh, that's bad. Like,
yes.
And that's when I started thinking like, oh, representation does like matter. Like, just there are simple things that I've thought of, like when something that I like is referenced in pop culture, and I'm like, I like that, and that and that makes
that joke was for me.
Yeah. So I mean, that is something that I never had really thought too much about before, and I've sort of become more aware of it, which as a cis white male, there are not a lot of struggles that I have, and that's on me for not being educated. But now that I am aware, I definitely try to be more sensitive towards certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. I regularly watch, if it's like a Nintendo Direct or like the Game Awards or some kind of thing where new video games are being showcased or video games or creators are being showcased. I'm always like, ears will perk up whenever it's like this team from this country that is, or like it's created by all women, or created by people in this country there was some recent game, like some cooking game, and I think the characters and creators were Indian,
Yeah.
like actual Indians.
Okay.
Um,
Oh.
and 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 so whenever it's like showcasing stories about either taking from the culture and creating some new story, or taking art inspiration and using it in the design. I love hearing those kind of stories of people including their culture from around the world in video games. Absolutely. um i I really do enjoy a lot of Japanese culture. So and it's not just like, and this isn't supposed to be shady or in any way, but it's not just like anime and manga and statuettes and magical girls.
Yeah.
I like a lot of like cultural, like customs and history and fashion. Oh, Japanese fashion. That could be a whole conversation on its own. And so whenever I see a game that's coming out like Sekiro, for example, or Ghostwire Tokyo, that really pulls directly from Japanese culture and history, I eat that up. I eat it up.
Yeah. They're actually at Adepticon today. There was this game that I liked the terrain painting and all of that was done on it, and they had a graphic novel displayed. Ooh. Well, I thought it was a graphic novel. It turns out it was actually for a game called Hametsu, and you might really like it.
Okay.
So
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, no, because I looked at it afterwards because I thought it was a graphic novel, and honestly, it looks really cool. You can be in like a post-apocalyptic Japan, but it's still all going to be feudal, is what it seemed like, and I don't know, it just seems pretty cool. So I think maybe give it a peek.
Great, yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that.
Okay, so now my next question for you is, and this is like, there's a lot of, of course this is only like episode 7 or 8, but there have been different answers for this, and I like that. What has been one of your biggest moments when it comes to streaming, or maybe biggest accomplishments?
I think other people had said this too. Just reaching affiliate was pretty like, whoa, this is real. It's actually happening.
Yeah,
that was probably like the biggest early accomplishment. Let me think about that for a second, because I did watch the other episodes. Everyone should watch them all.
Oh, thank you.
And I had thought about this question a bit, and the biggest accomplishment so far has been the friends I've made, honestly.
Yeah.
There are people, I don't want this to sound like I'm excluding anyone, because I'm not, but there are people who come into the stream regularly, that I get to learn about and talk to and share things with, but then there's the people who I've gotten closer with, that we talk more regularly off stream, and that's probably like one of the most satisfying things. It's just meeting other people and different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And just from like all over, it's not just people in Western America.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite things, is watching you and Asuri Kai interact with each other. I cackle. You guys are so funny.
Yeah, we get each other going sometimes. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
He definitely eggs it on a little bit, and it's just a good laugh.
I'll be peaceful. I'll be peaceful and hanging out, and then he'll say something, and he knows, he knows that I know that he knows that I know that it's, we're just teasing, and then it's never anything serious.
Oh yeah, it's banter.
Yeah. But I'll be keeping my peace over here, and then he'll just be like, oh, well, that's because Cathedral came in and did this, and it's like, well, I didn't even say anything. But fine. You know what? Yeah, he's somebody who I've definitely gotten pretty close with over the last year and a half.
Yeah,
I would say about that long. And it's like there's certain people who I found through like the gay tag.
mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite things to do on Twitch, is just like click on the gay tag and then just like go to a bunch of different people's channel and just like see what all the gay people are doing.
Yeah.
What are all the gay people doing? What are all the gay people playing? And that's been really fun. I've met quite a few people that way. And there is somebody who I found. I don't remember if they had the gay tag on, but when I found myself in their channel, they had the LGBTQIA2S plus tag on, and I was like, that's when I started using it. It was when I saw somebody else. I was like, oh my god, why don't I have that on mine? And I told them, I was like, hey, I've been hanging out here for a couple minutes. You seem really nice. I just wanted to say, thank you for including this tag, because I don't want to misspeak about them. I'm pretty sure he identifies as cis white male, as far as I know. And when I had brought that up and I said thank you, he was so touched, he started crying.
Aw.
And I was like, oh my god, don't cry.
That's sweet. That's really sweet.
And he's still somebody who I get to talk with and watch on stream, and they come over to my stream too regularly. And so it's just things like that. It could just take the smallest little thing to be like, hey, I like that. You seem cool.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, you're still like talking to this person.
Yeah, I think most people, of course, you can't like say everybody, but a lot of people want to build community. Of course, we all want to be an affiliate. Like, everybody wants to make money playing video games. Like, who doesn't? But the most rewarding part is the people that you meet along the way. And like, doing these has been it's been very rewarding for me, because I'm getting to connect with these people. Again, thanks to Runner, because I wouldn't have found out about so many people otherwise. And this has made it a much more less like, okay, I'm gonna sit in front of my computer, play games, and talk to people. Like, I'm actually engaging, and like I'm learning new things. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually, with Runner, another way that I've found people is through a very specific game by the name of Deadly Premonition. It's a very niche cult following game.
Okay.
And it's one that I definitely keep my eye on the tag when people are playing it. Like, I see nobody's playing it. If somebody's playing it, they have like maybe one viewer, maybe.
Okay.
And then whenever I see that Deadly Premonition has, because it'll show how many people are watching, just like globally. If it has more than 10, I'm like, whoa, somebody's playing this game. There's no way that like 10 people are playing this game.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of people that I've met through Twitch because they've played Deadly Premonition, and he was one of them. And I first time came into their stream, and I was like, hey, I love this game. And then actually, ended up really liking it over there on the Runner channel.
Yeah.
And then there was like a few other things that we had in common that we were able to talk about. And then that quickly moved to like off stream. We're like, hey, you're really cool. Let's talk about that thing that we like. And one of the things that we regularly talk about is Deadly Premonition. And there are, like I said, a few other streamers that I found who have played this very niche game. And the game itself is it's a detective game. I really like detective games. But it was first on, I want to say it was first on Xbox 360 in Japan, and then PS3, and then they ported it. It's on Steam. But it's notoriously like cringy and crunchy.
Okay.
Like the voice acting is phenomenal. But sometimes it's done in a really like cheesy, over the top way. But the game itself is very Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of similarities. It's about this detective who goes to this small town, and like everyone in the town is a suspect, and everyone is also a very, very unique character.
Yeah.
That all have different quirks, and you have to like talk to people and whatever. Detective game. It's very that. But it has grown to like a really, really intense following, which is one of the reasons why if anyone is playing it, I will go watch them play it and be like, what do you think? What do you think about this game?
Yeah.
and luckily Runner likes it. I've seen people play it and they just hate it.
Well, that's how I found For Fox's Sake. She was playing Hollow Knight.
Okay.
And Hollow Knight is, as I may have said to you, is now my favorite game of all time. I'm sure that will change at some point, but as of right now, it is. And so then, yeah, I just started hanging out in her streams, and now she's one of my friends. And
yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I love how Twitch kind of connects people that way. And so I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
And then we'll do our goodbye to the camera, and then we'll separately say goodbye to each other.
Sounds good.
So my next question is, do you really like ska or / No Doubt, or do you just love Gwen Stefani?
Both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love ska music.
I definitely had to do a lot of research and educating myself on ska music, but my intro was absolutely No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom album from 1995. And sorry, just took my breath away when I said that. Oh my god. That was so long ago.
Yeah, I was 5 years old.
And yeah, their music was just there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like that album. But also just like No Doubt in general. And I love Gwen Stefani. She's just the best.
Yeah.
But as I got older and started learning, I would say I'm a huge music person. I always have been ever since I was a baby. I would, when I grew up, I have a fairly young mom compared to like my age. Like I want to say she was 17 or 18 when she had me. And it was the 80s.
Okay.
So like growing up, she's basically a teenager in the 80s. Like you can imagine the kind of music that that teenagers were listening to in the 80s. It's a lot of Madonna, Michael Jackson, and a lot of stuff like that. So there's just always a lot of music growing up, and a lot of upbeat, dancey pop music specifically. And I learned a lot of music from my mom very early, and we would watch Michael Jackson videos and dance together in the living room. And then it was about going into second or third grade. No, it was before that. Now that I'm thinking back on it, I would say maybe like first grade. I had a little boombox in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I was able to like record music off the radio. And then it was a very different time. I couldn't just hop on the computer and pull up YouTube.
Yeah.
Or grab my phone and play Spotify. you got what you got. If it was on the radio, you could hear it, and if it wasn't, well, you better call them and ask them.
Yeah.
And I did. That was something I did a lot growing up, was call the radio station and say, hey, play the Spice Girls. And they did.
No, that's pretty cool. I like that.
And so when I got to be about 2nd or 3rd grade, was when I started getting like tapes and CDs of specific, bands and music. And that's when it started. And, as the years went on, I started learning about more music and, watching interviews with musicians that I liked when I could, or like finding, like there would be, I can't think of, like 17 magazine or like one of those like magazines where they do like, we asked Gwen Stefani who are her musical influences, and it's like a picture of her, and then it's just like these bullet points, those kind of trashy teen magazines.
Yeah.
Anytime it was like anybody that I liked, I was like, oh, I want to see what they say. So it was like, it would always be like The Police, Blondie, The Specials, Madness, and I knew some like Police, I knew some Blondie, but I don't know who Madness is. I don't know who The Specials are.
Right.
And so I would try and find this music whenever I could. And then as I got older and the ubiquitous internet came into play, I was able to actually do research and find music much easier. And so by the time I was in high school, I was pretty well versed in ska music.
Cool.
And I still am. It's something that I don't usually listen to regularly, but it plays a pretty special place in my heart musically.
Yeah.
And No Doubt doesn't do it anymore. They don't do the ska thing anymore.
No.
And that's fine. But there are a lot of bands out there still doing it. I was actually lucky enough to see in 2019. I was lucky enough to see the Specials in Minneapolis. And Terry Hall was there, and it was like one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. At First Ave, I got to go see the Specials at First Ave, and Terry Hall was there. It was, yeah.
I went to my first local ska show 2 years ago, almost to the date. And like I like ska music. I kind of like you were saying, you just kind of have to be in the mood for it. But it was a magical moment. And it's funny because like it seemed like everybody there knew each other already.
Okay, yeah.
And
that was just this one of the reasons, actually, honestly, I mean, you can see it here on the back of my chair. You can see it on the vest, and you can see it on my stream. I use the black and white checker print a lot. It's a staple in ska culture. This unity, intermeshed, equal. And that's a huge aspect of what I like about ska music, and a lot of music from that genre, and this unity. We're all here. We're all equal.
Yeah, because
regardless of race, like that's a huge part of
Well, yeah, I mean,
culture.
We're all going through life together as best we can, ideally, and a lot of it is not fun. And why not just be kind and loving?
Yeah.
It's way easier than being hateful.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy being a hater sometimes. that being said, but for the most part, I try not to be. I have definitely learned how to bite my tongue and keep my mouth shut sometimes.
That is a skill.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to remind myself to work on the face. Just because I'm not saying anything doesn't mean I'm not saying anything.
Right. So to the final question is, if you were going to go back to day one of streaming, is there anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I would just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I would just do it. I spend so much time, like, you know, I don't want to piggyback too much, but I think Asurikai said this as well. Worrying about things being just perfect and just right and no mistakes, and to the point where sometimes I wouldn't even go live for like an hour, 2 hours, but I would be sitting there, camera on, headset on, game ready, and then just like, let me just watch something on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then just like put it off. Which sometimes that can happen still, but it's not the same. It's not the same reasons. Sometimes it's like, oh, like, do I really want to sit here and be in front of a camera? And
yeah.
Do I really want to do this right now? Oh, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Some days. It's not always like that. It's rarely like that as often as I do it. But some days it's like looking over a cliff, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do I jump, or am I gonna go sit down somewhere? But yeah, that if I could go back and to those early days, just do it. Just get up there.
Yeah.
Just get up there and perform. They'll love it.
Well, Cathedral, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming in, and it's been a lot of fun and educational getting to talk to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I feel like we were a little all over the place, and I'm sure we'll have many more discussions about similar topics in the future.
I hope so. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gamer Chats with SaintCathedral. As always, I will be linking his channel down below. Please go give him a follow if you don't already. And if you do, go show him some love. And if you did just follow him, go show him some more love. I mean, we all need a little love, right? So if you like this video, give it a like if you like, and maybe leave a comment. You guys have been great. I've been Zeeves. Later.